Hello and welcome back to another lesson on mathematics. It's Heja again, and in today's lesson I'm going to tell you how to round numbers to the nearest hundred and how to round numbers to the nearest thousand. As you can recall from the previous video, we talked about how to round numbers to the nearest 10. We said in doing so, we're going to look at the ones. For example, if we want to round this number, a 2 digits number, to the nearest 10, we're going to look at the ones. If the number in the ones is 5 or more than 5, for example 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, if the number in the ones is more than, it's 5 or more than 5, is going to increase the 10 by 1, okay? This increase the 10 by 1, it becomes 4, and instead of the ones we're going to write a 0. So if you want to round number 37 to the nearest 10, it's become 40. And again, if we want to round number 34 to the nearest 10, again we're going to look at the ones. If the number in the ones is 4 or less than 4, for example, if it's 4, 3, 2, and 1, okay, the number in the 10 stays the same, 3, and instead of the 4 we're going to write 0. This is round to the nearest 10, to nearest 10. And today we're going to learn how to round numbers to the nearest 100, and it's very easy. Just pay attention and listen carefully, and you're going to learn very easily. Round to nearest 100. Okay, in this case, there is a very little trick. Look at this number, 350. If we want to round this number to the nearest 100, the first step is that we're going to look at the number in the tens spot, okay? Remember, we're going to look at the number in the tens spot. If it's 5 again, if it's 5 or more than 5, it'll increase the number in the 100 spot by 1. So if this number is more than 5, or it's 5 or more than 5, it's gonna increase the number in the 100 spot by 1. So this becomes 4, okay? Instead of the tens and the 100, the ones, we're gonna write 2 zeros, okay? One more example. If we want to round number 340 to the nearest 100, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the 10 spot. And if our number in the 10 spot is 4 or less than 4, the number in the 100 stays the same, okay, no change, because it's 4, and then we're going to add 2 zeros instead of the tens and the one spot. Okay, another example, we have 480, and if we want to round this number to the nearest 10, what is going to happen? We're going to take a look at the number in the 10 spot, and if it's 5 or more than 5, greater than 5, the number in the 100 spot is going to be increased by 1, so this becomes 5. Instead of the ones and the hundreds, the tens, we're going to write zeros. So this is how you round to the nearest 100. And now we're going to learn how to round to nearest 1,000. The key term here is that when it says round to the nearest 10, you're going to look at the number in the number in the one spot. When it says round to the nearest 100, you're going to take a look at the numbers in the 10 spot. And when it says around the number into the nearest 1,000, you are going to look at the number in the 100 spot. Let me tell you what I mean by that. For example, we have a number like 3,654, and if you want to round this number to the nearest 1,000, what shall we do? We're going to look at the number in the 100 spot. If you want to round number to the nearest 1,000, we're going to look at the number in the 100 spot. And if it's 5 or greater than 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the number in the 1,000 spot is going to be increased by one number. Okay, it's 3, it becomes 4, and instead of all the numbers in the hundreds and the tens and the one spot, we're gonna write zeros. So if you want to round number 3,654 to the nearest 1,000, becomes 4,000. And as another example, if we have 5,384, and if we want to round this number to the nearest 1,000, we're gonna watch, as a first step, we're gonna look at the number, the digit that is in the 100 spot. And if it's 4 or less than 4, okay, the number in the 1,000 spot stays the same, no change happens, and instead of the numbers, the digits in the hundreds and the tens and the one spot, we're gonna write zeros. Okay, to better understand this, we're going to solve some problems on page 17. We're going to solve some problems on page 17 here. We're going to do exercise 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 so that you can understand it better, okay? Now, we have in exercise 2, we have number 643, and once we're going to round this to the nearest 10, and then we're going to round it to the nearest 100. Okay, round to nearest 10, nearest 10. Okay, remember what I told you. When we want to round a number to the nearest 10, we're going to look at the number that is in the one spot. Okay, look at this one. Round this one to the nearest 10. Nearest 10. So we're gonna look at the number that's in the one spot. It's 3. So if it is 4, less than 4, it stays the same. 600, the number in the 10 stayed the same, and instead the number in the one spot, we're gonna write a 0. Okay, now round to nearest 100. Round to nearest 100. As I told you, when it says round to the nearest 100, we're going to look at the number that is in the 10 spot. Here, if it is 4 or less than that, the number in the 100 spot stays the same, and then we're going to write 2 zeros instead of the numbers in the tens and the one spot. So it's 4, it's gonna stay same, okay? So if we round number 643 to the nearest 10, it's going to be 640, and if we round number 643 to the nearest 100, it's going to be 643 to the nearest 100 is going to be 600. Okay, these are going to be homeworks, and we're going to study this in the class. And now we'll skip and we'll jump to exercise number 5. We'll do exercise number 5 and we'll leave the rest to the class and as homework. Very good. Exercise number 5. It says round to the nearest 10, to the nearest 100, and to the nearest 1000. Okay, and the first number is 3,581. Okay, and first round to the nearest 10. The nearest 10. What are you going to do? Do you remember when it says to the nearest 10? We're going to look at the number that's in the one spot. If it is 4 or less than 4, the number in the 10 spot stays the same. And if it's 5 or greater than that, the number in the 10 spot increases by 1. So to the nearest 10, this is the 10. We're going to look at the number that is in this in the one spot. It's 1. Okay, so there's going to be no change. 3,508, but in here we're going to write a 0 instead of the one's digit. So if you want to round number 3,581 to the nearest 10, is going to be 3,580. Now we're going to round the number to the nearest 100. To the nearest 100. As you can remember, we said when it says round to the nearest 100, we're going to look at the number that is in the 10 spot. If it's 4 less than that, the number in the 100 spot stays the same, and if it's 5 or greater than that, the number in the 100 spot increased by 1. So let's take a look at the number that's in the 10 spot. 8 is greater than 4, is greater than 5, so the number in the 100 spot increases by 1. Becomes 3,600, and instead of the tens and the 1 spot, we're going to write 2 zeros. So if you round number 3,581 to the nearest 100, it becomes 3,600. And now we're going to round the number to the nearest 1,000, to the nearest 1,000, to the nearest 1,000. If you want to round a number to the nearest 1,000, you have to take a look at the number that's in the 100 spot. If it is 5 or greater than that, the number in the 1,000 spot increases by 1. If not, it stays the same. Okay, now look at the number that's in the 100 spot. It's 5, so the number in the 1,000 spot increased by 1. It becomes 4, and instead of the numbers that are in the 100 spot, the 10 spot, and the 1 spot, we're gonna write zeros. So number 3,581 to the nearest 1,000 becomes 4,000. As I told you, we're going to leave these two as homework, and we're going to do them in the class later. And this was the end of the lesson for today. Look at the video carefully, more than once if needed. And if you got any questions, you can just ask me down below in the comments or in the classroom, anywhere you like it. Mathematics lovers, take a good care. Until the next Mino lesson on Mathematics 3, have a good day.